Welcome back to the Genus Brewing channel. Today we will be putting these three pumps head to head. We have the Blichmann Riptide pump, we have the MK2 pump, and we have a Franken pump, which is the March pump with a stainless chugger head.
Sure is. I'm going to be devising some tests involving 15 gallons of water and some transfers back and forth under a couple different circumstances. So if you want to learn about these pumps, see them go head to head, grab a beer, stay tuned, and enjoy. Clink.
3 pumps, 3 challenges, 15 gallons of water. Which pump will be victorious?
Now that I've got 15 gallons in this kettle, now what I've done is I've just hooked up one of the pumps at random, just with the closest one to me, and I'm just going to do a quick transfer over into this other kettle to verify that they're reading the same numbers. So, line up our valves, and flip my switch, and now we're pumping. So we're all done with our transfer, and sounds like the kettles are pretty much spot on to each other. You can see I'm just a little bit shy of 15 gallons, which makes up for the line loss of the water that's still in the line. So what I'm going to do now is just top that off, and we can start our tests. All right, we'll line up the valves. 1, 2. And starting. Just using the timer on my phone. It's gonna take a couple minutes. So this first pump we're testing today is the King Mk2 or Mark II pump. This is basically the cheapest and most compact of all of the pumps that we're going to test today. I guess the best benefit to this pump is that it's extremely quiet. In my opinion, sometimes too quiet. I've used this pump in the past and oftentimes let it run dry for 15 minutes or so because I didn't even realize it was on. So otherwise, this pump is generally rated at about 5 gallons per minute. And whereas the other 2 pumps we're going to test are going to be rated right around that 7 gallon per minute mark. So how I'm going to test these pumps today is that once the pumps start to cavitate, that's at the point where I am going to turn the pump off, stop the timer, and make sure that my volume is where it needs to be. That will be the time it takes to pump from one kettle to the other. Alright, so it took 6 minutes, 13 seconds for the MK2. As for a sound comparison, we are about 1 foot away. Okay, 6 minutes, 16 seconds for the first one. Pump number 2. Chugger pump. And 3, 2, 1. Start that. Pump is on. The water flow. You can tell this one's quite a bit louder. So this is about 1 foot away from the chugger pump. And we're cavitating. Time. 5 minutes, 7 seconds. Pump number 3. Alright, so we got the Riptide plugged in, reset our timer, open up our ball valve, open up that valve. We're running. This is the Riptide pump from about 1 foot away. We are at 4 minutes 40 seconds. The pump is just starting to cavitate. We're almost there. Yeah, that's all she wrote. We're at 5 minutes and 1 second, looks like. So in case anybody is wondering if the Riptide can sufficiently create a whirlpool, you can see our pickup tube down there, and we're actually pumping in through that pickup tube right now just to transfer back over. And we are at 9 gallons, and I would call that a pretty reasonable whirlpool. So what we have here is our 2 same pieces of silicone going into our pump and chiller, and the only difference is that we do have the resistance of the chiller in line this time. Okay, since we've got our Mark II already hooked up, we're going to just go ahead and start with that one. So I'm just going to line up my valves and start the timer. And we are going. We are coming up on 8.5 minutes, and it's like we're nearly there. So definitely the inline chiller creates a lot slower flow. And we're just starting to cavitate. And it looks like that's all she's got. So it looks like 8 minutes, 54 seconds for the first one. Alrighty, so next in line is going to be our Chugger Pump. You can actually see that the flow is quite a bit less by running it through that chiller. So it's a little over 7 minutes. 7 minutes, 15 seconds for the Chugger. Lastly, we've got our new Riptide pump. So it looks like 7 minutes and 3 seconds.
Let's bring it to the stats, guys. Let's start with the max flow test between the 3 pumps. What did we see on the max flow test, Logan?
So basically the max flow test, the first one I set up, which was just with the pumps and a little bit of tubing, was all the pumps were actually significantly lower in their flow than what they were rated for. So the Mark II came in, like you saw in the video, at 6 minutes 16 seconds. The Chugger Pump head came in at 5 minutes and 7 seconds, and the Riptide pump came in at 5 minutes and 1 second. So what this tells me is that both of these pumps, the Chugger and the Riptide, are about the same flow. As for the Mark II, it lags a little bit behind. But like we kind of mentioned before, if you're only doing 5-gallon batch, I'm sure that'll still be plenty of flow for you.
So let's go into, first of all, the chiller test. So this chiller test is we added extra resistance by forcing the liquid through our counterflow chiller. And what did that tell you?
So basically, same results on that, but they were a little more exaggerated because of that extra resistance in the line. So to transfer our 15 gallons, the Mark II came in at 8 minutes 54 seconds. The Chugger Pump came in at 7 minutes 15 seconds. And the Riptide pump came in at 7 minutes 3 seconds.
And so, just for a frame of reference, the 7 minutes and 3 seconds, that was for what volume of liquid?
So that was for 15 gallons of liquid.
15 gallons of liquid. Okay, so 15 gallons of liquid in 7 minutes and 3 seconds.
Give or take. Yeah, so one thing to consider with these tests is I did only do them once or twice for each pump, just to try to dial in an approximate number. And that's why, to me, I feel like this definitely has less flow than these two guys, but these two are almost identical. when it comes to the overall flow they can push through both, a system that has little resistance and a system that has a lot of resistance.
So let's go to the final test we have, which is the flow control test. Tell us what that's a measure of.
So flow control is basically, I wanted to test to see if the Riptide's needle valve worked any differently than our regular old ball valves do. And so for the sake of saving you guys some time, I determined that they were pretty much all the same, so we're not gonna really post up all the video of that. If you really want to see it, here is what it would look like. And now we gotta pee.
Apparently he has to pee. So we'll check back with you after 30 seconds. Great job, man. That was good time. That was good.
All right.
You did great.
And now you see why we didn't do 2.5 minutes of that.
So apparently they're about the same flow rates, measure of flow control, and it's important to say that's the needle valve versus ball valve. So you do have a high degree of control there.
Pretty much, yeah. It's sensitive, but just like the ball valves are pretty sensitive as well. One thing I have noticed with that valve though is when it comes to our recirculating mashes, this one seems to get stuck a lot less than the ball valves because we do occasionally get bits of grain that come through our mash. And this one seems to actually handle those a lot better. Okay, now we're on the Mega Selfie Stick, aka a tripod. So for those who are still skeptical of what these pumps can do, behind me I have the Riptide hooked up just how we did before to the kettle going through the chiller, but up above me I have the kettle in the highest point in the store back here. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Line up the pump, flip her on, go over here. Oh, get on my stool. Flip the valve. And let's just see here what we can do. And should be able to see. Should be flowing just fine. So, long story short, if you happen to have a 12-foot tall brew stand, these pumps will still work. We'll see you next time on the Genus Brewing channel. Until then, grab a beer and enjoy. Oh God, this thing's so friggin' heavy. Ah! Oh. Woo! I'm getting dizzy watching that.